Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Anytime that God closes a door, it's for our protection. When he opens a door, it's an invitation. There you go. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on this Monday morning. And we need a patriot to call in with a Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, starting a brand new week, the last week of August. My goodness, time flies when you're having fun. And, of course, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance to start things off right. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, my friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Put your hands up, man. Don't resist. They're after you.
They are, too. Hey, do you remember that 60s song, I Can See Clearly Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see clearly now outside.
The smoke is starting to dissipate.
It is.
Thank goodness. Hey, thanks for your call, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, there he goes. Hey, man, it's time for our weather forecast, and it's brought to you. I hope it's going to be a nice week. I really do. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley Paul Highway. K&R Rental for all the tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a project. I'll tell you what, all the way from weed mowers clear up to air compressors, you name it, it's there. And long and short-term rental on these pieces of equipment. Get a hold of them today at 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's the weather.
Feels a little bit like fall today, but it's not as smoky as what it has been, but we are still in that air quality advisory. Here's your weather forecast for the final week of August on Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting mostly sunny skies for today. It is going to be a little bit breezy. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 65. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, still breezy, expecting a low of 43. Tomorrow, sunny skies, the winds are going to be dying down. Temperatures going to be bumping up to a high of 71 with an overnight low of 45. For Wednesday, sunny skies getting back up to 80 degrees. Mostly clear for Wednesday night with a low of 52. By Thursday, mostly sunny, 82. Friday, sunny skies, high of 77, and looks like sunny and 80 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb.
Oh, Gina, thank you. Great job. Way to start off the weekend. Right now, the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Yep. You better believe it, right there on the Burley Paul Highway. The number to call, Roger and the crew, 678-3122. I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Woo! They do a great job. Just got back some clothes from the cleaners the other day. And I had to look at them and say, are those my clothes? They look too good. They're too brand new looking. Well, that's what happens when you go into Daryl's Cleaners. They really take the time. They really take the care. And they're so professional. They are the best cleaners around. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in in Burley. You stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today. We have some belated anniversaries, and we missed it by 2 days. On Saturday, some really, really good friends of ours, Gerald and Wanda Sievers in Kimberly, they celebrated their anniversary. And I have the utmost of feelings for not only them, but also Jimmy and Frida Flowers celebrated their anniversary yesterday. So, excuse me, got a little hay fever here this morning. To Gerald and Wanda Sievers and Jimmy and Frida Flowers, congratulations on your anniversaries. Absolutely. Want to also mention our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and here a couple of days ago we saw firsthand the excellent service when we had a power outage and it blew the ballast right out of my great big light fixture up here in the studio. Broadcast in the dark. Anyway, Jared was right over here later on that day and got everything fixed up, ship shape, absolutely, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. It's Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They are open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Number 6780459, Ramsey Heating and Electric. I also want to acknowledge, if I could, Mr. and Mrs. Paul and Ellen Peterson. Paul is the one that makes up all the cartoons. I have got a spiral notebook, and I put them all in there, and that is the thickest, and it kind of depicts everything or a lot of the things that we talk about on this program. He puts in cartoon form, and that is a keepsake that when this program is ended and I'm sitting in the rocking chair, I can really look back on and have a lot of memories. And to Paul, his talent and his cartoons, thank you. It means a lot. It really does. I know something else that means a lot. We were over there last week for our Great Big Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and that's Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. And they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. It's true. It is America's Diner. And the food, I had that pot roast sandwich last week, Thursday. Oh, knock my boots off, delicious. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time. And they are the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Don't miss out on great eating at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Calls are welcome. Wheels, I notice a little bit of static. Is it real bad, or what's going on over there?
There's quite a bit of static. I kind of figure that it's because of the moisture, probably, and everything in the air, but we can...
Should we try a different line? I'll tell you what, tell that caller not to go away, slip on a quick tune, and answer the phone, and I'll call you within 30 seconds, okay?
All right, sir.
All right, here we go.
All right, sir.
That sound all right?
It does.
All right, here we go, buddy. Thank you.
Welcome.
We're on the air again. Thank you, Wheels. Good job over there. And I understand we have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, and you're coming through clear now.
You know, it was a little staticky on the phone line. I apologize for that.
Well, good morning, and I have something I want to discuss.
Okay, quickly.
And that is the Democrats have set their hair on fire trying to get this Russian collusion on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't worked. So now, according to Alan Dershowitz, who is a renowned attorney, but also a Democrat, has said parts of New York now are going to go after Trump's business and try to bring him down that way.
Yep.
Now, this man is trying to run this country and they are always trying to deflect away from what is happening. And I'm infuriated by the fact that they just can't leave this thing alone.
Well, Keith, let's just say it this way, and Wheels, we got a little feedback here. The Democrats' plan for the midterm elections coming up in a matter of weeks is to take over the House of Representatives, and then they have a 100-point plan to go after Donald Trump, whether it's his business, whether it's his family, whether it's he himself. They're going to go after him and try to get rid of him. They do not have any plans or a platform for you and me. It's just a hate Trump platform, and I find the Democrats despicable.
I find it also. You know, what is our country becoming? You know, you run a business, and I have run a business, and somewhere along the way, you're going to stumble a little bit, make one little mistake or something, and somebody comes in and just tears you apart. Now, I understand that southern New York is the one that is going to spearhead this. The prosecutors there, they're going to take the gloves off, and they're going after him full blast.
You know, I would hate to think, and I mean this, Keith, that all of a sudden this country might be thrown into some horrendous turmoil, whether it's with another country wanting to do some harm to us or whatever the case might be, and that we as a United States might have to unite. Is it still fuzzy, Deanne? It's coming back the way it should be, or the fuzz is coming back? Okay, we'll have to maybe fix that and try a different line. I don't know what to do. But the Democrats have no plan other than hate Trump, and I agree with you, it's absolutely despicable.
You know what? What in the world would inspire a businessman to run for an office?
Oh, I don't know.
He is not protected. And as president, he's protected by the Constitution, but I understand with the way New York is going to do this, all bets are off.
Yeah, I find this to be absolutely, it's the bottom of the basement. It's in the gutter. Keith, thank you so much for your call. I got another one waiting, and then we're going to check on that static. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Wheels, what do you think? Should we try another line, or will this one kind of phase out a little bit?
I'm hoping it'll phase out.
All right.
We can try another line if you want.
I'll tell you what, let me know in a second after I take this next call. I'll do a quick commercial. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley with Nick Greenwell, my old buddy. He's the head of all the physical therapists over there, and what an outstanding team they have. They can help you get back to being you. Simply put, all you have to do is call the number, make an appointment, 678-1191. All the exercises, the hydrotherapy pool, the knowledge to help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man from the Senior Junction. Today we're going to have pork chops, mashed taters and gravy, cake and fruit for dessert. Tomorrow is baked chicken and mixed vegetables, cherry cobbler.
Oh, and cherry cobbler. Woo! I love that.
That's all I got. Now, if you need a meal to take out, any ages are accepted, young and old. Just call 208-878-8646, and they'll have it ready for you.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that is straight from the Yummy Man at the Senior Junction. Joe Taylor, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You bet, buddy. Thank you. Nice man. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead quickly, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. If they're going to go after Donald Trump, they're going to have to go after some of the Democrats, especially someone like Nancy Pelosi's husband, who's been doing business with the Chinese for many, many years, and I'm sure there's some shady things that have gone on in his business, too. And any of these Democratic politicians out there that have got money invested in different businesses, their businesses are going to have to be investigated along with Trump's.
Well, wait a minute. Why start there at Pelosi? Let's back up the bus a little bit and go back to the former Secretary of State that ran for the presidency and got beat, and that's Hillary Clinton, with all the thousands upon thousands of email that really are our property, the United States of America, that all of a sudden, oops, they're gone, and the illicit activities of the Clinton Foundation, etc. Let's start at the top and work down, for heaven's sakes, and it also is going to entail a lot with Obama.
Oh, absolutely. So this is going to turn into a big mess, and if they ever try to get Trump out, this economy would collapse so fast, and I think we'd have a revolution in this country for sure.
Well, if that's what they're going to do, is not play politics, but just play the card of we hate him, we lost the election, and we're going to go get him, that's nothing for the American public. That's nothing to help Tony. It's nothing to help me. It's nothing to help us with the economy or protection or security or anything. The Democrats are floating a boat with a big hole in it.
That's right. And they're looking for big trouble, and they're going to get it. Anybody that's in business, businesses don't always turn out the way people want them.
Amen.
Even though they're honestly done, it might look crooked, but that's the way business is.
I'm not even going to say it's going to look crooked. I mean, the Democrats, can always slant something, and they're going to go after Trump on everything. They're going to go after Jared. They're going to go after Melania. They're going to go after his former businesses with all the different resorts. They're going to go after anything and everything this man has touched. And guess who's going to come out on the short end of the stick paying for a lot of this? The American taxpayer.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This thing can go on for years. And this is just a game that they're playing, and it's going to affect everybody, like you and me and everybody else that's legitimate.
I agree. I'm fed up with this mess, and when the Democrats come up with I was talking the other day with a gentleman on the phone, I think it was Friday, before I drove up to Nampa, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to quit harping about the Democrats and their low-class attitude. And he begged me not to. He said they're the only party right now that he can remember for years and years, and he's a little bit older than I am. He said all they're doing is just basing everything on hate. Are you still there, Tony?
Oh, is that? Yeah. Oh, Mary just called. I got a phone call on the other call.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, God bless you both, and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to give you another instance of how the left is so very low or no classed. LeBron James, and admittedly, probably the best basketball player on the planet. The man has a ton of talent, but he is also so disrespectful, and his remarks about President Trump and President Trump's presidency were just very low-classed, vile, and should be taken with kind of the attitude of tear up the paper and throw it in the bathroom toilet. But he gets all the press. The left loves him for his anti-Trump remarks. And yesterday, Tiger Woods was asked by a reporter after a golf tournament. Now listen carefully to this. This reporter was hammering away at Tiger about his knowing Donald Trump and having played golf with Donald Trump. And this reporter tried to get Tiger to say something, anything bad about Donald Trump. I got to tell you, Tiger Woods has had a lot of holes in his screen door with his personality and his personal life. But don't we all? But he looked at the reporter and he said, I respect the office of the presidency of the United States of America. And I respect the man trying to do the job as the president. The reporter wouldn't let that go. He kept hammering at him, and Tiger looked right at the reporter and said, look, I've just played 72 holes of golf. I'm hungry. End of conversation. That, I thought, was a great way to handle these nincompoop leftist reporters that are trying to create and build animosity and hatred in this country. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, what do you think, buddy?
Well, it'll kind of come back, and then it'll clear up for a minute, and then come back again. It's just up to you on if you
Well, let's just keep riding this horse for a while and see what happens, all right? Let me know.
Will do, sir.
All right. I want to remind everybody about Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts, and I really mean it. The service is what sets them apart at Berry Equipment and Rental. They've got 3 locations to serve you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and that's with Juan and the crew, and then 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, and the Nampa location. And they've got the big Doosan equipment. Oh, these are big dudes. I mean, the loaders and everything. Woo, get the job done. And, of course, they've got all the Bobcat excavators. They've got all the equipment rentals and retail equipment sales that you could possibly be looking for. And I'll guarantee you they can help you and serve you. Call them today or stop in. Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the reason that the swamp is upset, whether they be Democrat, Republican, lobbyists, whatever, is because their gravy train, Trump is exposing their corruption and their crony capitalism. And they don't like it. They're going to lose their gravy train. They're going to lose all their income.
Yeah, but what are they going to stand on, Doug? I mean, honestly, it's easy to say, well, I hate Trump, and I'm going to go after him for this. I'm going to look at all his casino records, and I'm going to make sure that, we can find maybe $10 off here. We got to go get him. Or, the supposed and alleged affairs, etc. Really, when you look at other presidents, whether it was Obama, or whether you want to go back to Roosevelt, or whether you want to go all the way back to Lincoln, I don't think you're going to find all clean shirts in the closet.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I mean, if they're going to go after President Trump's business stuff, let's make this equal. Let's go after all the Democrat shady dealings that the representatives and senators have done to enrich their pockets, like Feinstein and Pelosi giving no-bid government contracts to their spouses,
to
their family and friends. I mean, yes, there's corruption back there, and Trump is disrupting it, and they don't like it.
There was a lady, and she sounded like she was a younger person, that called me on my cell phone last week just for a quick call to let me know that she hated me. I thought, this is a good call. She says, I find you despicable. And I said, may I ask why? And she says, you're all pro-Trump. You're all pro-Republican. You're all this. You're all that. And I said, ma'am, I also have chosen many, many times on my program to go after the Republicans on many issues. Do you not hear that side of it? And it was amazing how loud she could slam down her phone.
And don't you hate it with these new cell phones? You can't slam them down like you did the old landline.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, the click was loud enough to make me know that she was off the line.
But one thing to tell these people that call you and dislike you for what you're stating, it's actual facts.
Yeah.
Is no, it's not that I'm all pro-Trump. I'm pro-America, and he is making America great again.
I do.
That's where you are.
I absolutely appreciate those remarks, because I'm not going to get on this program and I'm not going to give anything that I haven't proven and tested to be absolutely 100% the way it is. And I'm going to give you an opinion on the truth. I'm not going to give you an opinion on speculation.
Exactly. And kudos to Tiger Woods.
Yes.
Every sports figure, every actor, actress that wants to have a successful career ought to take a lesson out of his playbook on how to deal with political questions.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. Here's a guy that was at the bottom of the rain barrel. This man had destroyed his life. He had destroyed his family, and he absolutely was he was on the bottom. He was crawling. And he brought himself back up physically, and he brought himself back up personality-wise. I have talked to people that have been on the PGA Tour and have said, the guy's changed. He's friendly. He's smiling. He's helpful. He's courteous. And I say kudos to him, Tiger Woods, for revamping and absolutely reestablishing his life.
And I do too. And other people need to use him as an example. Okay, so you get knocked down, so you are down. Self-evaluate, fix what's wrong, and start climbing back up the ladder.
Amen. Amen. Doug, I got another caller waiting, but I know you got 10 seconds of spiel.
I need 15.
Okay.
Everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. And I am going to be going to the senior center in Haley Friday, talking to the director up there. They've got a program up there that I want to try to bring to all senior centers. It is a neat program, and I will have more news about that next week. So.
All right, buddy. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Thank you.
And one more thing. You might be a redneck if you name your twin sons Copen and Hagen.
Oh, how true. Thank you. Copenhagen. Caller, good morning. You're on the air quickly, and then I got to give away some cookies.
Hi. I heard a scary thing on the news just before your program started. How can the governor of Arizona, as a consideration for replacement of John McCain, possibly picking Barack Obama? He don't even live in Arizona.
What does that tell you, if there's even an inkling of thought like that? I mean, it must absolutely scare you. If I were a resident of Arizona and I heard the governor say something so basically under the table and shifty, I would absolutely call the state headquarters and tell them how loony this guy is and he's got to be replaced.
It's just not right.
I know it's not.
The man is not. There's several different people that he says he's considering, but I don't think Barack Obama should be one of them.
I wouldn't
represent Arizona in any way.
Absolutely. I don't think you're going to see much come of this, but thank you so much for your call. You are always welcome. I look forward to talking to you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a nice lady, very much. And I don't blame her for being worried about something like that. Good heavens. I wouldn't appoint Barack Obama to be the head custodian at Kmart. I mean, holy smokes. I've got to give away some cookies thanks to our dear friends. I'm late. And I got a little bit of a mind teaser this morning question for you. To win a dozen cookies at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square, and they make the most delicious in their bakery cookies and pies and breads and biscuits and cakes, wedding cakes, and then, of course, the great restaurant at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Here is the question. Now, listen carefully, and you may win a dozen delicious cookies at Sophie's. Name a pro football team and a pro baseball team that basically have the same mascot in the same city. Name a pro football team and a pro baseball team that basically has the same mascot in the same city. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly give me a call, and you might be the lucky winner of our dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Come on, give me a call. Hurry! Like to hear from you. I'll repeat the question one more time. Name a pro football team and a professional baseball team that basically have the same mascot in the same city. Call me. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your jingle to see if you can win the cookies, don't forget, my good old buddy Jerry Zollinger and Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch. They're going to have their big 30th annual production sale coming up on September 8th. Preview at 10 in the morning, sale at 11, up at the ranch at 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. Oh, yeah, I'm talking good horses here. I'm talking the best of breeding for conformation, disposition, and performance. And their horses are raised in that high desert country. They know where to pick their feet up and where to put their feet down. Let me tell you, great minds, too. For more information, contact Jerry at 670-3833 or Linda at 862-3818. Absolutely, Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, 30th annual production sale on September 8th. What? No calls? Come on now, put your thinking caps on. It's not that hard, really. Name a pro football team and a professional baseball team that basically have the same mascot in the same city. There's a call. Good morning, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Could it be the Chicago Bears and the Chicago Cubs?
Who is this?
This is Dory Clegg.
Dory Clegg? Is that right?
Clegg.
Oh, okay. Let me just tell you that what's your favorite kind of cookie?
Probably chocolate chip.
Well, now, the deal is, if you want it, I mean, you are 100% right. It is the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago Bears. How long did you have to think about that, or did you have the answer just on the tip of your tongue?
Actually, my son gave me the answer.
Well, now, you make doggone sure you give him half those cookies.
Oh, I will.
All right. Thank you for calling. Call over there and let them know when you're going to be in there for your cookies. God bless you. Yep. Chicago Cubs and the Chicago Bears. Way to go. Congratulations. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see what else. Did you hear, we were talking a little bit ago about Obama. Now, some news magazines and some that write all the different theories about politics, etc. There's a magazine called Salon Magazine. And it could have put another O in there and made it Saloon. It probably would have made more sense. But anyway, they are saying that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to be the next Obama. This woman hasn't done a thing yet. What has she done except win an election? Where she stands on the issues, nobody knows. She has made so many faux pas and so many mistakes and shown that she is so undereducated on the various issues. She's 28 years old, totally unproven, and a community organizer. Wait a minute. Maybe she is the next Obama. I don't know. What is the fascination with this young woman, 28 years old, and believe me, I've seen all the different news clips and everything, and she does not have a clue. I mean, she'd put the arrow in the bow backwards. She absolutely is not proven, doesn't know or understand many of the issues that she's been asked about to be credible with various news agencies. and they're comparing her to be the next Barack Obama? Take 2 aspirin and just sit down and put a cold wash rag on your head for a while. Holy moly, I can't believe this. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I couldn't believe this story. I kind of touched on it a little bit last week, and we didn't get a chance to kind of further it because I had some calls. But now, calling parents mom or dad is no longer going to be acceptable in certain circles. This is according to a study by Clark University. This woman, Ellen Kahn, is the director of the Children, Youth, and Families program at the Human Rights Campaign, here we go, and LGBT rights advocacy group. Now, they said that the terms mother and father don't work for some parents. Hold on, caller, I'll be right there. For queer parents who don't think of themselves as gender conforming, mommy and daddy may be a little discordant with the way they think about themselves. My grandma used to say it best. Ay. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb, on your previous topic there. You know, what's sad is that even in Idaho here, our students don't understand what socialism is. I mean, I don't think they relate. They probably aren't even aware of what's happening in Venezuela or what's happened in the past in Cuba and other places because it's not taught. One of the professors at one of the universities, is a history civics teacher, gave a pretest to freshmen coming in. And guess what? They all thought socialism was fine and dandy. Mm-hmm. So they meet 3 times a week, and within a month, in that many, basically 12 hours of lectures, they gave them a second test. But they said, we didn't know. And this is what's happening right here in Idaho. These kids are not being taught about the Constitution. They have no clue the difference between socialism and free enterprise capitalism. And like, say, Margaret Thatcher said, you know, socialism works until you run out of everybody else's money.
Well, let me jump in here. Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute, Adrian. Adrian, we got to have a little give and take here. Hold on. What you're saying is 100% true. And I think that our education system right now needs a stiff belt in the nose to the point where we start teaching about our past, we start teaching about our current, and we start teaching about our future. And where this country has been, the leader of the free world, the monetary system and the opportunities available in this country with capitalism, much more so than socialism, which will do nothing more than put people in a downtrodden state, and it's not being taught. Our education system, not just here in the state of Idaho, but across the board, needs to have a realization, a real wake-up call as to the benefits of what this country provides.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I think about my life and your life. I mean, what kind of a life would we have under any of these socialist regimes? None.
No.
We had none. We had none. So we had to, we had to get out and work. I was 13 years old, and I told my dad I wanted to go to college. He said 3 words: get a job.
Yep.
We just had a dryland farm in southeast Wyoming, and, we all had to work away from home. 160 acres dryland doesn't make it there any more than it does here. And so we worked hard and saved enough money to go to college, and, it was a lot of work all the way along. But, the other systems that were the government, and what gets me is Paulette Jordan. I don't know if she's full 100% Indian blood or not, but I always say, if you think the government's going to take care of you, look what they've done for the Indians. I came through the Navajo reservation in June on my way back from seeing my sister in Texas, and I can guarantee you, there's not a blade of grass. The wind was blowing. It was dusty. It was horrible. And it's, this is what really gets me when somebody like that is pushing Bernie Sanders type socialism.
Yeah.
And we need to wake up to the fact that whether you like Brad Little or not, you better realize that Paulette Jordan is going to be just a flaming liberal socialist and going to really try to bring that type of economic system to this state. In other words, redistribute the taxpayers' wealth to those that least deserve it the least.
But wait a minute. And it also extends itself into the Magic Valley in a race for a senatorial seat between two people that I'm very concerned about. And one, of course, is running on the Democratic ticket just the same as Paulette Jordan, and that would be Deborah Silvers. And I have a lot of questions about her campaign, and I certainly don't want her representing me because of her rudeness that she showed to me over a year ago, and I invited her on the program and she hung up the phone on me. So it just shows, I think, what the status and personality of the Democratic Party is. She's running against Lee Hyder, and quite frankly, I'm scared about that race.
Well, and here's the whole thing. Your listeners, everybody sit down and examine what the platform for the Democrats are. Kill the babies, abortion, take our guns, eliminate ICE, open borders, bring in the illegals so they can vote Democrat, sanctuary cities, and take away the Trump tax cuts, and on and on and on. That is their platform. They have nothing positive in that platform except redistribute our wealth so they can buy votes.
I agree with you, Adrian. I got to shut you off right there because I'm about 5 minutes over on my weather. Appreciate your call, and I think you're spot on. Thank you very much.
Hey, you bet.
All right, sir. Weather forecast quickly brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Number to call to make an appointment, 312-0957. Dr. Christine Pickup has written a book called Communication Tips for Happier Relationships, and you can get a copy of this by going to Mount Harrison/radio, go to the request, and they'll send you a copy of it. And it's a really interesting book, easy read. You can sit down and read it in about maybe less than 30 minutes, but it really talks about better communication tips. Thank you, Dr. Christine Pickup. Call today for an appointment at 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels a little bit like fall today, but it's not as smoky as what it has been, but we are still in that air quality advisory. Here's your weather forecast for the final week of August on 7th Ranch. We are expecting mostly sunny skies for today. It is going to be a little bit breezy. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 65. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, still breezy, expecting a low of 43. Tomorrow, sunny skies. The winds are going to be dying down. Temperature's going to be bumping up to a high of 71 with an overnight low of 45. For Wednesday, sunny skies getting back up to 80 degrees. Mostly clear for Wednesday night with a low of 52. By Thursday, mostly sunny, 82. Friday, sunny skies, high of 77, and looks like sunny and 80 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, we want to say thank you to Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell and the crew over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You be sure and call for a hearing screening appointment today, 312-0957. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, tomorrow on Tuesday, we're going to have Vic and the crew over there at Stotz Equipment on our program at 9:46. Your John Deere dealer with the Stotz Equipment Ag Minutes. Don't forget, that's tomorrow, talking about ag events and people in agriculture. Stotz Equipment Ag Minutes at 9:46 tomorrow morning at 119 Overland and Burley. They make your life easier. Good morning, caller. Thank you.
Good morning again already.
Yes, sir.
The memorable moment. The Dow has reached 26,000.
Yep.
For the first time in history. And they feel like it is related to the fact that the U.S. and Mexico has come to a trade agreement.
You know, really, Keith, when you start talking about things like trade agreements and you start talking about things like the revamping of NAFTA that's going to be fair and better for us and other parties, how in the world, what are the Democrats going to do tonight at the 5 o'clock news to taint this one?
I don't know. But, you know, NAFTA, I was against that from the very beginning.
Me too.
And the local president of the Farm Bureau at that time, I sat down and talked to him till I was blue in the face, but it was not a good thing for the farmers. And he said I was absolutely wrong. Well, I proved to be right, but that didn't help the farmers any.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm going to be going into that after the program and studying it for tomorrow's program. But, you know, no matter what happens, I don't care if it's a trade agreement. I don't care if it's a nuclear arms agreement. I don't care if it's another story about ICE being blown off or ISIS being blown off the map. Trump's not going to get any credit. The Democrats aren't going to say anything good, and the news media is going to smoke it over.
Yeah, and what bothers the heck out of me is the fact that they're trying to give Obama the credit for this good economy we've got.
You know, I could give you a $5 bill at the next lunch bunch, and you could get on the radio and say, "Oh, well, look how come Zeb gave me $5. It's because of Barack Obama." It's absolutely insane.
Yes, it is, but I could sure use the $5.
Well, don't count on it, Cottam. See you later, buddy. Thank you. Right, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Muskogee, pardon me, I said it wrong too. Muskogee, Oklahoma, they're trying something new. And just bear with me on this. Schools in Muskogee, Oklahoma, are sick and tired of students being late for class or missing class altogether. So the school board, I just heard this story minutes before I went on the air this morning. The school board says, okay, from now on, if a student is late 4 times in 4 weeks, not only for the class or missing the class, the school board will impose a $250 fine, or the student and or parent might serve 15 days in jail. Whoa! What do you think about that? If a student is late 4 times in 4 weeks or misses a class without authorized excuse, they can face $250 fine or maybe 15 days in jail. I kind of like this crackdown. I do. What are your thoughts on it? Too tough? Oh, well, we can't do that. Or do you agree with me that it might be an eye-opener and a conversation starter to make things a little bit more regimented like they should be? Caller, good morning. Quickly, I've got 2 minutes left.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zeb, the parents should have been doing this instead of the school district doing it to their children. But this is what parenting has become, a popularity contest with your children's friends and your children. And in the end, you end up with no respect at all and undisciplined, slothful children.
Yep.
Disrespectful. You know, I'll tell you what, there was times when me and my sons, it was a knockdown drag out. But I told them at that time they didn't realize it, but I just knew that I couldn't allow them to slip somewhere where they maybe never could come back from.
I agree. Hey, Randy.
I've got 11 children and girls and boys are all functioning, they're all doing very well, and I'm very proud of them.
Well, you should be, and I am too. I hate to cut you short because I would appreciate hearing more of your remarks, but I got to do a spot, and then I got to go to the news. Call me earlier, buddy. Look at your wristwatch next time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? It's a Trump economy. People are busy.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're right on. Hey, I got to run and tell everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. If you're going on a late summer road trip, make sure that you've got the best of tires. And they do have the best of tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, camp trailers, horse trailers, whatever. And besides that, they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. My goodness, but always at all 7 locations, the best of service. I urge you to stop in and see them today. They are the best. My goodness, and they're all our friends. I urge you to stop in and see them today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, along with Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. All 7 locations treating you the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I just had an interesting happen on my atomic clock I've got on the wall. The seconds quit all of a sudden. And it still shows the minutes, but the seconds are frozen forever at 48. I'll see you back in 7 minutes. Wheels, take it away. Oh, away we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday, the last Monday of this month of August, the 27th. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. You stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers, too, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, they are always at your disposal. I urge you to give them a call at the office number 734-6969. Get on the route service. You'll be a happy little camper. They'll come and get your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Wave goodbye to your garbage. They'll take care of it. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. You call them today. Want to urge you, too, to get a hold of my old buddy Anthony over at Save on Shells, 1027 Overland and Burley. And take it from me, Save on Shells has the best selection of new and used camper shells. They can custom fit any truck on the road. They just made a beautiful camper shell through ARE for me on my new truck, and I love it. Save on Shells with Anthony at 312-1525. 312-1525. You get a hold of him today. Save on Shells. Real quick, too, before we go to the phone line, I know he's awaiting, he's chomping on the bit, and that's Richard Manning in just a moment. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff, always serving you and your family with the utmost, highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. When there's the passing of a loved one, please call them. They can and they will help you. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, without further ado, here he is, President of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'll tell you what, Richard, it's taken a big change in the temperature. From being up in the high 80s and 90s, we're dipping down into only the 60s today, so maybe old man fall is on the way.
Yeah, I think so. It's I know here we're in D.C. We actually had a little bit of cool in the air on Friday and Saturday, although when I walked out the door this morning, it was It was swampy to the nth degree. So we are still swampy here in D.C., no matter what the temperature happens to show.
I got to ask you to start things off. You have been so good about taking kind of a potpourri of questions and answering them, and I commend you on that. Why this New Mexico situation just infuriates me, with that compound, with the Muslims teaching these kids how to kill. And over the weekend, stories came out about how an attack target of Atlanta had been chosen as maybe they were going to unleash these kids and these weapons. And these guys and ladies are on bail. What in the heck is going on here?
I have to tell you, it's one of the more infuriating things that I see out there. They were held on state charges, and a New Mexico state judge is the one who put them out on bail. It is beyond my comprehension why the federal government hasn't moved in, given the interstate nature of this threat, and taken control of this investigation and rounded these people up and make sure that they are in prison. It also is stunning to me that what is an obvious, if nothing, if you take the terrorism piece out of it, I mean, this is such an obvious case of child abuse that is beyond comprehension, and yet these people are effectively being treated like they ran a stoplight. Mm-hmm. And it's for the life of me, Zeb, for the life of me, I do not understand it. It is, it makes absolutely no sense. And when something doesn't make any sense, there's generally something bigger behind it that I don't know about. And I really hate to think that there's something bigger behind this, which is an obvious case which people should be held, should be tried in both federal and state courts. If the states don't want to deal with this, the feds should take over. This was an interstate terrorism operation, and they need to be treated as such. And it's just surprising to me that hasn't happened.
Richard, I'm just going to be very blunt here, and I don't mean to drag you into the quagmire with me, but I've said on this radio program many, many times that I think there is a media Muslim collusion to the point where anything Islam or Muslims in general try to do that would be possibly against our country, our Constitution, and our value system, the media is not going to rake them over the coals. What's going on? Is there some arm twisting that we're not aware of? Is there something much more insidious in the background? What's really happening here?
Well, I once again, you're asking questions which I don't have great answers to. This is not a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of question, which I normally can handle with some ease, but I've noticed the same thing with the same amount of frustration that you have. I've noticed that groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center will use against any group that tries to stand up to radical Islam and say, no, that group is a hate group, and get them disqualified from contributions from other groups. I've noticed, it's hard not to notice that. It's hard not to notice when there's a lot of investment into media groups coming out of the Arab world, and that investment has a cost. And so I don't know that investment is the reason behind it. Some of the seeming blackouts that we get on things like you've described, but. If I were on the left, I would have absolutely no problem tying the money to the actions. Mm-hmm. I've basically taken a position in life that things are a lot more complicated than that, but maybe they aren't.
Yeah. I want to ask you about this next situation I saw over the weekend, and I got to tell you, I'm just furious about this one, too. The Democrats, quote-unquote, planned for the midterms to take over the House of Representatives and then present a over 100-point plan to go after Trump and get rid of him. Whether it's Melania, whether it's Jared, whether it's Trump, whether it's the resorts, all it would be is a 2-year leading up to November of 2020 hate campaign against Trump to dump him. This is, when are they going to start working for the American people?
Well, they're not, and they never have. Yes, I'm ecstatic that came out, because that is exactly what they plan to do. It is exactly the plan to try to disrupt the Trump administration. There's no positive agenda for the left. They don't have any plans for doing anything that's positive for the country. Their agenda is simply to do everything they can to make it so Donald Trump doesn't get reelected in 2020, and to tie up his administration with so many investigations on just fake stuff that they are that would be designed in fact in total to be about investigating President Trump. And it's a shame that that we have a political party that is so lost its moorings, so lost its reason for existence, that they are completely defining themselves by this president, and with some imagined malfeasance that they think exists. And looking at the list, they've got things on it like, going after Russia collusion. I mean, haven't we had we've had a special counsel who's been going after Russia collusion for a year and a half, who hasn't managed to come up with any Russia collusion. He's managed to indict a bunch of people, but it's always he investigates them under the auspices of Russia collusion, but then comes up with, there was no Russia collusion there. The latest was Michael Cohen, Michael Cohen is not going to go down in history as an honorable man. But here's what we know. The whole reason we first learned Michael Cohen's name was because he was in the Christopher Steele dossier. In that dossier, it was alleged that he had meetings in Prague with Russian agents, and that he was there as Donald Trump's agent. Well, not only did Michael Cohen have passports which showed that he hadn't been to Prague during that time frame, Lanny Davis, his attorney, who was a Clinton associate, had to come out publicly and say, no, he wasn't in Prague. And nothing that Cohen was charged with has anything to do with him being in Prague or anything to do with Russians. It has to do with him perhaps having illicitly attained a taxi cab medallion license in New York City, which is a very valuable thing in New York City. But it has nothing to do with Russia. So we have, once again, every time we see the news here, we're going to get Trump on collusion here. Well, even his attorney, who was involved in all the talking with Trump on a variety of subjects, there was no Russia collusion, and Hillary Clinton's former mouthpiece and now Cohen's mouthpiece had to come out and say there was no Russia collusion. He did not go to Prague. The Steele dossier, which underlies the entire investigation, is a fraud. It was a fraud perpetrated by Christopher Steele and others in the intelligence agencies to be able to open the door to investigate Donald Trump. And we are bearing the fruit of that fraud now through this continuation Mueller investigation and what we are seeing out of the New York Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office. So, in terms of this whole thing, it sickens me that that's what we're dealing with, but it is what we're dealing with, and it is, and we need to put an end to it as rapidly as possible.
Okay, right there. We need to put an end to it as rapidly as possible. I'm an American taxpayer. You are too. Our dollars are going to fund this frivolous scamper down the yellow brick road trying to create a crime. Who's going to be the discerning factor? Is it Trump? Is it the DOJ? Are they going to finally wake up and call Mueller at his office and say, hey, you're out of work, you're unemployed, hit the road? Who's going to be the deciding factor, and why isn't it being done? I'm sick of spending the money on this.
Well, we have in the next month, 5 weeks, we're going to have a discussion about how we spend money for the next year. And so that would be So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have something that is going to spend money. It's going to be a big appropriations bill. And the question is, will Congress say no to Mueller and shut him down? Congress could shut him down in a heartbeat. There's no there, but they're afraid to because they don't want to be called to task by the Washington Post or by the Democrats as colluding with the Russians or supporting Trump or going against a fair, impartial probe. And ultimately, people like your listeners need to tell Congress, their members of Congress, to shut down the probe. Don't fund the probe.
Absolutely.
That has to be what they hear. And, in Idaho in particular, you've got 2 senators and 2 members of Congress who are ostensibly Republican, and they ought to be receptive to that message, and they need to hear it from the people. You and I talk about this almost every week, and we're both sick to death of it. I'm sure the listeners are sick to death of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time for them to tell Congress they're sick to death of it and to shut the darn thing down. If they don't, this country is going in the wrong direction. I'm not talking about the probe being dangerous to Trump. I'm talking about we are destroying the essence of the belief in the justice system with this stuff. We're setting up an environment where nobody will work for the Trump administration because it's dangerous to work for them. Nobody's willing to put their livelihoods on the line to get a government job. And in the future, we will never have another presidential candidate who isn't straight off K Street, already vetted and approved by everybody who's taken this country in the wrong direction. We have to stop this. We have to stop it now. And the only way it's going to stop is if people from places like Idaho tell their congressmen to stop it, to end the funding, which Congress has the power to do.
Amen.
So that would be my suggestion.
Amen.
You can call your congressman and tell them to quit funding this, and your senators.
Well stated. Now, here's one that I know you'll have a kick answering. There have been some left-leaning publications like Salon Magazine that are calling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the next Obama. What are your thoughts?
Well, she matches him. She has the same crazy eyes. I think that's a really, really... I'd take a great offense of that if I were Obama. I obviously was no fan of Obama. I think Obama did a lot of things that were wrong for the country. But Obama was he was a brilliant politician. He was a brilliant communicator. And Ocasio-Cortez is an idiot. And she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't have an answer to anything. She continually says things that are, the one that, just the latest one, standing in front of the restaurant that she used to work at, bemoaning that it was shutting down, and never recognizing the fact the reason it was shutting down was because of the $15 minimum wage that she supported. And so she doesn't have the political intelligence that Barack Obama had. She is a creation of the media, and I hope to God that they put her out as being their leading person in terms of how the direction the country should go, because America will reject not only just her programs, but the fact that she can't even articulate them, and she can't defend them, and she doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. Those are the things that really, make her almost a dream person to run against on a national level as a Republican or somebody who cares about the country, because she's so far left, and all she talks about are essentially, talking points out of left-wing blogs that have no bearing in reality.
One final thought here this morning, Richard. I wanted you to comment, and I've been really fired up and mad about the whitewashing and erasing and toppling of our history, whether it's Confederate figures or whomever or wherever. And this is getting worse. More of it at the University of North Carolina. Why is it that the left can basically destroy and vandalize, and they get away with it, when I think we ought to retain that as a portion of our history that America grew from. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think absolutely we should retain it as a portion of America's history that we grew from, and it's and the left's continued temper tantrum only exists because we're allowing the child to cry in the middle of the grocery store, and we're not grabbing them up and taking them home and leaving the grocery cart behind. I mean, essentially, we've got this temper tantrum from people who never got spanked, who were in college, and they found that some things might have not been exactly perfect in our country. They're going to protest against those things from 150 years ago because they're going to set that wrong right. And they don't understand, or if they do understand, there's two ways. Either they don't understand and they're just tools, or they do understand, and what they understand is that the first thing you have to do in order to remake a country is you have to erase its history. And that's what they're attempting to do, is erase the history of the United States and denigrate anyone who lived that history. Because if you can do that, at that point, the U.S. Constitution is invalid, the Declaration of Independence is invalid, the entire DNA of our country is invalid. And they have, at that point, created a massive opportunity to remake the country, and which is what Obama promised to do, and partially succeeded. And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to remake the country, and they want to remake it in a socialist image, not recognizing that one of the greatest accomplishments of this country was when the statues of Lenin were pulled down, and the like in the Soviet Union and around Eastern Europe, as the oppressor Lenin was being pulled down from, and Stalin their statues were being pulled down by those who were seeking freedom from the Soviet grips. So they're erasing history with an intent of remaking America. The question is, are we going to allow them? Simple as that. And in the state of North Carolina, the state legislature is Republican, the governor's Democrat. They ought to go and they ought to say, to those universities, we're going to cut your funding if you allow this to continue to occur. If those students aren't expelled, we're involved in that, and the people who are not students prosecuted, we're going to cut your funding. Ultimately, we have a responsibility, we have legislators have a responsibility to control this education system. The education system is messed up. The university systems are messed up. That's our fault because we have not put our efforts into it. Every time the left says we try to get involved in the university system, say, we need academic freedom. But there's no academic freedom for the right. And we have to make it, where we have governors like in Idaho, we need to create environments where those state universities are teaching Western civilization or teaching U.S. history, right? And they're actually giving people, the students, an accurate view of history, right? Good and bad, an accurate view of history, so that they understand the brilliance of this system, the brilliance of freedom, and how freedom is our watchword moving forward, and not freedom from want, but freedom to excel. And that's where we have to go, and it's our fault because we've allowed it to happen, and we got to stop it happening now.
Amen. Very well stated again. President of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning, always look forward to Mondays and his thoughts. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful week. See you next Monday.
Yes, sir. Take care, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Really enjoy his commentary on various subjects. Richard Manning, good guy. Really a good guy. Okay, let's pay some bills. I want to tell you a little bit about Ark Animal Hospital, and I will as soon as I find Ark Animal Hospital. I had it right here, and then while we were visiting and everything, I had a chance to cover everything up, which I did. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital, of course, is a mixed animal practice, large and small animal, and they urge you to keep your animals healthy and stop in. You got a little bitty kitty cat or a little puppy dog, or you got a great big herd of dairy cattle, they can and they will help you. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, and the entire crew at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177, to keep your animals healthy. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Really good people. Also, I want to remind you about some friends of ours that have been on this program for a long, long time, and I urge you to stop in. You know, with the chillier temperatures, let's say cooler temperatures, it's going to be leading into fall before too long, and you're going to be spending more time indoors. So I urge you to stop into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. For maybe you need some new carpet. Better get it in now. Maybe you need some new dining room furniture or living room furniture or a new recliner to watch all the football games this fall. Well, you'd better stop in right now. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. They are absolutely the best with a trained staff, and they can help you for the beautification and the comfort of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. That also leads me up to talking quickly about some friends of ours at Let's Ride. Oh, you got to get outside this fall. Yes, you do. You've got to get up in the hills. You've got to see the changing colors. You've got to see the wildlife. You've got to just get away from everything and have fun. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and they've got all the side-by-sides. They've got all the ATVs. They've got that new Maverick Sport side-by-side. Big, fancy dude for you. And a great accessory department and a super service department to keep you running. All of this and more at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I believe we have a lady on the line that has never been on my program before, and I'm really looking forward to visiting with her. And I'm going to say her last name, and if I say it wrong, I hope she corrects me. Karen Kateline, how are you?
You're really close. It's Cataline, but you're close. Great to be with you. Thanks for inviting me.
I used the same alphabet, but I was just a little bit off first base. So it's Cataline, is that right?
Cataline, like a cat.
Cataline. I will remember that, and thank you. You wrote a very interesting...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, I read your piece that you had in Town Hall, and I thought that this Colorado problem, I thought that all the issues that had been brought up against Jack Phillips were null and void, and he was going to start to lead a more healthy and sane life, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that way. Tell us about it.
No, not at all. I call this in my piece the sequel to the first episode, which lasted over 6.5 years, and it ended in a 7-2 Supreme Court decision in Jack's favor, as you probably know. Now, the CCRD is short for the Colorado Civil Rights Division, basically a group of unelected bureaucrats. It decided to take the case of someone named Autumn Scardina,
oh boy,
a transgender attorney who requested a custom cake to celebrate his or her gender transition. Now, the news was, and this happened quite some time ago, and by the way, Autumn Scardina is allegedly had called Jack Phillips' shop several times in the past. I don't know if that's been proven, but that has been the allegation, with sexually explicit and other satanic cake requests.
Oh, boy.
But here's what the CCRD did about it. The CCRD decided that the charge was credible and ordered Phillips into compulsory mediation for a new discrimination charge. So now this is kind of like the sequel to the story, and it's quite possible that this one could go to the Supreme Court as well.
Oh, my goodness sakes. I would love to get Jack Phillips on my program, but yet, on the other hand, I don't even know if I want him to take the time from his daily life, because his life has been turned upside down. What his feelings are, what his rights are, and what his faith and belief tells him, that doesn't matter, because the insidious left is going to try to transition him and make him bow before the throne of secularism. Am I right on that?
That is exceptionally eloquent, Zeb. And if people think that this case is either about a cake or about Jack Phillips himself, they are incredibly wrong, because this case affects every single one of us, whether you're a Christian, whether you agree with Jack Phillips. And I've met him because I live in Colorado. Denver is my hometown, although I don't live in Denver anymore. It's gotten way too big. I met Jack Phillips about 6 years ago, and he is a mild-mannered, soft-spoken, kind guy who had literally the first incident had literally a 60-second interaction with the gay couple that took him to court, that sued him, that charged him with discrimination. They walked out of the store with FUs all over the place.
Oh, boy.
And then he was hit with these charges. Interestingly, I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, there's so much to this case about the vitriolic, absolutely relentlessly hating left that doesn't want equal rights. They want to force you to accept them. They want to force acceptance. And if you don't accept them, which one would think is a personal, private choice in the matter, they want to punish you right out of your business.
Well, let me ask you this, Karen, because I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I own this program. I own all the content, and I have a sales staff that sells all the ads. I scrutinize all the ads, and I do everything ad-lib on my show. But I will not take ads from certain sponsors that I deem below the quality of this program. Aren't the same things to be said for Jack Phillips? He didn't want to lend his artistry to something that was way below his cake baking. I don't blame him. Does he not have that right?
Well, here's where it gets sticky. Because of these new laws that are basically under the jurisdiction of the EEOC, where they have established protected classes in this country. Years ago, it was the left, actually, that were very, very fond of equal opportunity, the Equal Protection Clause. But now EEOC laws have created protected classes because they've tacked on and continually grown the list of protected classes like race, gender, age, sexual orientation. And because of that, Jack, first off, the whole issue of his creative talent, using his creative talent, is still not fully adjudicated yet. And that's one of the reasons why it's possible this court case, could go back to the Supreme Court if something isn't done, and it should be. And so what you basically have is somebody like yourself who really is being discriminated against as a conservative person isn't part of the protected classes. If you were gay or transgender, you'd probably have special rights. And that's not what America is about. That's not what our founders ever intended for our country.
Well, and we have a caller waiting to ask you a question, but therein, it flies in the face of all men are created equal, and I don't like these protected classes. I don't like to think that there is a group that is holier than me or thou, and I absolutely will fight against it.
Well, and I couldn't agree more, and some of those laws, some unsuspecting states, like I'm quite fond of Wyoming, and Wyoming right now is dealing with this very thing. And the leftists move into various states in order to get what appears to be a benign addition to the EEOC laws. And what you're seeing in Colorado is what they're really after.
Right.
Because they want to punish people that disagree or disapprove of them. And they're willing to use the courts and the government to do it.
Oh, my goodness.
We've got fought against. Otherwise, none of us are free.
That's right. Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Karen. Go ahead, please.
Well, ever since Hitler ran all these weirdos out of Europe, they came here and they settled in, the East Coast, West Coast, and they've done, whether or not it's in media, entertainment, or in, college campuses, this kind of weirdo things that they have been trying to do to our country, and they have been progressing. And after 8 years of Obama, they really thought they had this thing done, and especially if Hillary had been elected. And now they realize that all this work that they have accomplished after all these years is being shredded and torn apart by Donald J. Trump and the people who elected him. And these people are freaking out because they have only got one play in the playbook, and that's insults, names, and tort. And so hopefully we can fight back and win, and we'll win this midterm elections. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Karen. Thank you.
Zeb, I'm sorry he hung up. It was a plethora of things to comment on. The first thing he started out with, I was really quite... when he said, ever since Hitler ran the weirdos out of Europe. What does that mean? What do you suppose he means,
Well, I would imagine that, there was so much going on with the Hitler regime, with the loss of freedoms and the book burnings and the anti-biblical attitudes, etc., and the anti-Jewish feelings, that Hitler, of course, was trying to get rid of and create a perfect society. And I think that's what he was meaning by that.
Okay. I was just curious. On my talk radio show, one of my little monikers is I put the Judeo in Judeo-Christian. So when someone says Hitler ran the weirdos out of Europe, I'm kind of curious as to what he means.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
That being said, I agree wholeheartedly that Donald Trump is turning the tables on a whole host of people. And when you stir a hornet's nest, you're liable to get a much more vicious reaction, and that's what we're seeing right now. I think ultimately it's a good thing. I know we're a little off topic, but ultimately it's a good thing, because if you wanna really get rid of exposed corruption, you got to shine light on it.
Absolutely. We have another call with a comment for you, Karen. Stand by. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Please go ahead.
Well, I read a book called by Andrew Breitbart, and it talked about how they left Europe when Hitler was coming into power, because they knew that purification would eliminate them, whether or not they were Jew or gay or lesbian or communist. Let's face it, the Nazis were terrible people, and Hitler was a terrible man, but he was going to clean up anyway. And so in the book Breitbart wrote, he talks about how they came to America, and, I don't know how do you describe them, but they settled in like I said, the West Coast, East Coast, media, entertainment, and in our college campuses, and they have some sort of a vision of communist America, and LGBTQ, and then like even pedophiles are people too, according in Portland, Oregon. So you see, they're everywhere, and they're taking over, and we've got to stop them.
All right. Now, Karen, go ahead, please.
The left has, first off, I think we've been asleep at the wheel in educating our young. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
And, it's more than 60 years since the Holocaust and World War II. And the LGBT activists of today, I think, are being spurred on by a socialist bent more than anything that happened in World War II.
I agree.
In which Hitler basically murdered people he didn't agree with.
That's right.
Today, you have the left that calls a Donald Trump Hitler and every other name in the book because the public and the young haven't got a clue what even happened in World War II. A great percentage of those kids don't even know a thing about the Holocaust or what happened then.
That's so true.
The level of ignorance in a segment of the public today is astonishing. And I might, if I could, Zeb, refer you to the first piece I wrote in Town Hall that was called "Donald Trump is Dragging Us Kicking and Screaming into Peace and Prosperity." And my point was that it's up to all of us, the people that brought Trump to the dance, to educate using what Trump is actually doing to increase prosperity in this country, and a whole host of other things that we believe are very good. We're going to have to educate those kids as to why it's working, because they haven't got a clue.
Absolutely.
Not a clue.
No, I totally agree with everything you said this morning, Karen, and I really want you to come back on the program. One other thing I'd like to mention, and this is very simplistic. This is very simplistic in the way I present this, but I think any business that hangs up a little bitty sign in the front of their window, like a restaurant that says, "We reserve the right to refuse business if you're not wearing shoes or a shirt or whatever, you're not going to be allowed in the restaurant." Why is it any different if I refuse certain types of advertising, or if Jack Phillips refuses to make a cake of some nature that is going to be reflective in a poor attitude and poor advertising against his business? Why don't we, the business owners, have the right to refuse business and go according to our own faith and beliefs?
I couldn't agree more, and the left that's fighting this case ignores the fact that, well, I agree with you on principle. We ought to be able to send anybody out of our private business if we want, but in this particular case, Jack would have sells anybody cakes, cookies off the shelf. What he would not do is design a custom cake using his creative abilities, and he doesn't make Halloween cakes either. So isn't it fascinating the kind of hypocrisy of the left that gets all bent out of shape about this, and then they cheer when Sarah Sanders gets kicked out of a restaurant? So the truth is, none of this is about what they say it's about. It's about advancing their political agenda. It's about punishing people with whom they disagree. And in my opinion, we have to keep pointing that out, because if we get down too much in the weeds, we forget that these are merely political tactics.
One thing that really bothers me, and I don't know the structure of Jack Phillips' bank account. I don't know financially what kind of shape he's in. But the left, they thrive on taking people and trying to squeeze them through a financial keyhole, knowing that if they try to resist their way, that they're going to break the business and break the bank. And this is disgusting for me, because I will never kowtow to these people. I will pull the plug on this program before I ever am forced to accept their type of advertising or express their viewpoint.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I respect and admire your thoughts on that. It gives me a great opportunity to mention for people the group that is defending Jack Phillips. I have absolutely no affiliation with them whatsoever, but they completely footed the bill for his Supreme Court defense, and it's called the Alliance for Defending Freedom.
Right.
And they are taking donations again. And so if people are interested and they appreciate what an important case this is for all of our freedoms, I fail to see how we could possibly be free if the government is telling us, compelling us to create things that we don't want to create.
Absolutely.
So I would say, please donate to the Alliance Defending Freedom. I'll put something on my website, which, if I can, I'll mention, which is www.KarenKataline.com, and I'll put something there as well. But you can Google the Alliance defending freedom. They did a terrific job the first time.
Absolutely. Karen, I want to say how much I enjoyed having you on the program. I certainly hope you'll consent to coming back in the future. Karen Cataline, I thank you for your writing. Keep up the good work, and I'll be in touch for a future broadcast.
Great talking to you, Zip. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you. Very nice lady right there, and very, very smart in the way that she wrote this article. I'm going to have her back in the future. You can bet on it. This mess, excuse me, I got to editorialize for a moment. This mess with Jack Phillips and his cake baking company, etc., all of this from the slovenly and absolutely low-life LGBT trying to force and coerce everybody to go their way or else. This is disgusting. It's absolutely sick and pathetic. And the freedoms afforded any business owner or whomever in this country are being diminished and downtrodden right now. And we've got to fight back. Upset me a little bit. Okay, weather forecast. My goodness sakes, I've got to get a weather on here quick. Old Wheels over at the station, he's getting all nervous. Our weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, and, of course, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. All of this and more. I urge you to get a hold of them today. Now, the reason I say that is that Leiden Crane called me a couple of weeks ago and said, Zeb, there's been a lot of tax rate changes and deduction changes, and some of the old favorite deductions have been changed, and people better know what's going on. So for you, your family, and your business, get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels a little bit like fall today, but it's not as smoky as what it has been, but we are still in that air quality advisory. Here's your weather forecast for the final week of August on Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting mostly sunny skies for today. It is going to be a little bit breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 65. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, still breezy, expecting a low of 43. Tomorrow, sunny skies, the winds are going to be dying down. Temperatures going to be bumping up to a high of 71 with an overnight low of 45. For Wednesday, sunny skies getting back up to 80 degrees. Mostly clear for Wednesday night with a low of 52. By Thursday, mostly sunny, 82. Friday, sunny skies, high of 77, and looks like sunny and 80 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Not too bad. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. She always does a great job on the weather. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They will help you with everything regarding accounting services as they have for over the last 50 years. Please get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, the very best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Oh, we got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. And as you probably know by now, Senator John McCain passed away at 81 years of age. And Washington, of course, preparing for many, many services to honor John McCain, our United States Senator, and also prisoner of war during Vietnam. And whether you liked him or whether you didn't like him and or his politics, you have to admire the tenacity of the man. From being a prisoner of war for many years and living through a harrowing experience at the hands of the North Vietnamese, and then coming back and getting into politics. And as I said, many, and I'll even say most of John McCain's politics I did not agree with, I did not like, and I was not supportive of him at all to become possibly the President of the United States. But you have to admire the man. And the way that he did things, the way that he got things done, and the way that he lived his life. They called him the Maverick, and I guess he was. He did things his way. John McCain passing away at 81. Want to remind you, too, about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, these are really good people, dedicated and responsive to your needs, very thoughtful, and accessible to helping you with life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. So please get a hold of them today. It's easy. Pick up the phone and call 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, serving you. Get a hold of them today. One other item I would like to remind you of, and that's our friends at Dino's Septic Service. Yes, sirree, Bobby, they're doing the job that you and I don't want to do. We don't want to stand out there and pump out a septic tank. Oh, no. You and I don't want to clean out the sewer and sink drain lines. No, but they do, and they do an excellent job. They've recently expanded their business to serve more of the great folks here in the Magic Valley with septic tank pumping and backhoe service, water and sewer lines installed, and, of course, sewer and sink drain lines clean. All of this and so much more. Give them a call at 436-6526. Or in Burley at 678-1638. And that's, of course, Dino's Septic Service, with the big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. These are good folks. Dino's Septic Service, you get a hold of them today. We are going to take a little break for a few minutes and then come back. We're going to have Representative Fred Wood on the program at 10:06 talking about two very important issues. Proposition 1 and Proposition 2 that will be on the ballots this November. And you really need to know them, read them, study them before you go vote for or against. Please, I urge you. And Fred's going to be on the air at 10:06. And then at 10:30, we've got an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Timothy Snowball, coming on the air. A lot of things happening, but right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Morning on a cooler Monday. This is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to have our guest on the phone with us in just a moment, but first and foremost, I want to remind you on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and our main sponsor of that event, of course, is A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Well, the kids are back in school, but you know they're going to be falling off teeter-totters and everything else. Remember that A Child's World has all the school clothes. They've got all the baby furniture. They've got all the baby clothing. They've got everything. The Cherokee scrubs. They've got it all for you. A family store at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget A Child's World, sponsoring Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Right now I get a chance to talk to a dear friend, and he is Representative Fred Wood. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great, and you?
Yeah, I'm just doing 100 miles an hour. It's a little cooler, and a lot of the smoke has dissipated. It's not as bad as it was. Things are looking up.
Absolutely. It is cool, and that 100-degree heat's a little tough.
It was a little tough. Fred, I've had you on the program about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about Proposition 1 and Proposition 2 that's going to be showing on the ballot in November. My biggest fear is, number one, that people are not going to go to the polls, people are not going to go vote, and my second fear is they may not understand what these propositions are. So So, would you please explain Prop 1 and Prop 2 so that the general public can understand what's going to be on the ballot?
I certainly will, and at least at this juncture, I'll do it at a higher level rather than getting down in the weeds.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think the first thing I would like to tell all of your listeners is I think it would be important to go and read both propositions, and they are both online now. All you have to do is go to the Idaho Secretary of State's website, and the homepage will show a bunch of red bars on the left side, and you go to the third one down, which is elections, lobbyists, and financial disclosure. Click on that, then scroll down to initiatives and constitutional amendments. Click on that, and at the top of that drop down will be 2018 proposed initiatives, and click on that. And first you will see that there were 4 proposed initiatives, 2 failed, but 2 passed to get on the ballot. Proposition 1 is historical horse racing, and Proposition 2 is the expansion of Medicaid. And for all of you listeners out there, it will take you about 6 minutes or 7 minutes to read the historical horse racing one, or Proposition 1. It's very easy reading, layman's language, even though it's in bill form because it is law. Easy read. And the Medicaid one, or Proposition 2, will literally take you 1 minute. It's 2 paragraphs long. So with respect to historical horse racing, the legislature did pass at one time the ability to have historical horse racing, and then got into a bit of a problem because some of the rules, et cetera, associated with the Racing Commission, and the fact that one of the places for simulcasting was moved from a race track to a downtown location in Idaho Falls. At that point in time, the legislature then removed the ability to have historical horse racing. And this proposition is to put it on the ballot so the citizens can vote to have historical horse racing.
All right, now, Fred.
And I support this proposition.
Let me interrupt if I may, and I apologize. We have a caller with a question quickly, and we'll put that caller on the air. Go ahead, caller, please.
That's a question, Zeb. What about us folks that don't have a computer? And we would like to have this information out. Have you got an answer for that? I'll hang up.
Oh, that's a good question. Fred, what about those that don't have computers or access to computers? How can they obtain the information on Prop 1 and Prop 2?
If you have a cell phone or a smartphone, you can also do that. If you don't have Internet access at all, then I would call the Secretary of State's office and have the Secretary of State mail you one, or if you know someone that does have computer access, have them print off a copy because both of them are strictly one page. So there's a couple of workarounds for that. That is an excellent question, and that's probably not a good answer for the caller or for several folks listening. What I will do when we get done with this conversation, I will call the Secretary of State's office, and I will talk to them, and then, Zeb, I'll call you back. And so tomorrow you can tell the folks on your program the answer to that question other than the answer that I have given them.
Very good, very good. And I will try to get some copies of Prop 1 and Prop 2, and if anybody doesn't have access to the Internet, I will personally mail some to the people that request them.
Good.
All right. Fred, let's talk a little bit about Prop 1 and what will it do? What are people against it for? I mean, what reasons is there negativity? Let's kind of go through that before we have, we'll take 5 minutes for the Prop 1 and Prop 2 also. Go ahead.
Okay. proposition, Prop 1, is to allow pari-mutuel wagering, which is just exactly like going down here to the Cassia County Fair and betting on the horse races.
Right.
These are historical horse races that have gone on in the past. You don't know which one it is, etc. And they are allowed to have a machine, a simulcast machine, several of them, only in places where you actually have 8 live horse races a year. And I think there are 3 racetracks in Idaho that qualify. There's LaVoie Park in Boise, there's the one in Coeur d'Alene, and the one in Idaho Falls. There may be more, but if there are, I'm unaware of it. So at those 3 locations, during a period of time during the year, you can have historical horse racing by machine, as long as they do have live racing in association with that. And the whole idea is to take some of that money to make sure that those racetracks stay viable, that they can take care of those racetracks, put some of the money into that to allow to allow live horse racing to continue in the state of Idaho, and to have purses big enough to actually attract horse racing in the state of Idaho. I believe 21 other states have done this, and it apparently is a success.
Fred, let me jump in here.
That's what Prop 1 is about.
Let me jump in here and say my feelings, and then I'd like to get yours centering around Prop 1. I think that a yes vote is a good vote for Prop 1 because I think the horse industry in its entirety, whether it's the trailer sales, whether it's the feed sales, whether it's the tax sales, whatever it has to do with the horse industry would benefit. And the horse industry nationwide is in the top 5 top agricultural commodities as far as money garnered and money made. So the horse industry is very important. I think this would be a shot in the arm for the horse industry. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think you're dead right, Deb. And all of our rural economies are somewhat in jeopardy, and I think this is a good bolster to the horse industry and to the agricultural economy and to our rural areas. I really do, and I support it wholeheartedly. I'm going to vote for it, and however I can help people understand so that they can draw their own conclusions. But, you know, there will be naysayers that come around. But, you know, pari-mutuel wagering at county fairs has historically been a staple of American life for a long time, and that has never been abused. It's not a problem, and it does bolster our equine industry, and we really need to do that.
Absolutely. Now I want to get into Proposition 2 in the time remaining. Prop 2, Medicaid expansion, has caused somewhat of a firestorm, and it's been debated and discussed over the last few years in the state of Idaho, the pros and the cons. I'll let you pick it up from there. What is Proposition 2, Medicaid expansion?
Okay, some people are probably going to look at Prop 2 and say, well, why is it so short? It's only 2 paragraphs, and all it says here is that this piece of legislation, in effect law, authorizes and requires the Department of Health and Welfare to amend the Idaho State Medicaid plan to allow a certain population or extend Medicaid benefits to a certain population. And literally, that's exactly what it says, and that's the full extent of the bill. The reason for that is that Idaho already has a legislative approved and federal government approved state Medicaid plan. And every state has to have a state Medicaid plan. So all of our plan is already intact, it's already been approved by the federal government, et cetera, and the state. All this does is amend the plan to incorporate those citizens that have been categorically denied health care under Medicaid. If you remember correctly, what I told you before, Medicaid is a voluntary program. The federal government doesn't require any state to have one. But if you do have one, there are three categories of people that have to be covered. One, the physically and mentally disabled. Two, children from birth till the age of 18. And three, pregnant women. You do not have to cover anybody else. And Idaho categorically excludes everybody else. I don't care if you're dying in the street, you don't get medical care from Medicaid, you just go die. So what this bill says is that those people that are not covered by any other insurance, Medicare, commercial insurance, another category of Medicaid, et cetera, that if you're 135% of the federal poverty level or below, and you're a citizen of the state of Idaho, you can be covered. That's all it is, period.
Would there be a substantial increase in cost and or taxes to the Idaho taxpayer? How is this going to be delegated as far as increase so that everyone is covered?
Right now, the current Medicaid program, which would remain the same in terms of financing, the federal government pays 71% of the cost. The state of Idaho pays 29% of the cost. The expansion population, and expanding it under the Affordable Care Act, not under the old program, if you expand it under the Affordable Care Act, then it's 90% federal government funded and 10% Idaho funded. Now, the state of Idaho went and contracted with our actuary, Milliman. This is a nationally recognized actuarial firm that does all of the state of Idaho's actuarial work and has done so for years and years and years. Did a study on this as to what the cost would be. It's a very conservative study in that they did not. I looked at it, and I think you could even find a bunch more money. But right now, I don't remember the total cost, except the cost for Idaho's portion, over 10 years is $10.5 million per year for 10 years, and that would be $105 million total, or $10.5 million a year. Now, what we ought to do, Zeb, is get that Milliman study and go over that at some point in time in the future on the program and dedicate just a simple program to that, or a single program to that. And also, in addition today to calling the Secretary of State's office, I'll call Department of Health and Welfare and find out where people can go online to get that Milliman study. And furthermore, for those that don't have Internet access, I'll find out how we can get them the Milliman study so that they can see that themselves. Now, that's a rather detailed study, and if you're not a policy wonk looking at financial stuff, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But we can go through that on the air if folks want, and I'm certainly willing to do that.
All right, Fred, we have another caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, what I'm concerned about is the wording at the end of that. Certain populations. What does that mean? Illegal aliens?
think I heard the caller, Zeb, and I think the question was, would non-citizens or illegal aliens be qualified? And the answer is categorically no. Now, one of the things that would obviously happen if the voters decide to pass this, if the voters decide to pass it, there will be a follow-up piece of legislation that passed by the legislature would put certain sideboards on this. And one of the sideboards would be that if the federal funding goes away, the program goes away. There will be an attempt to try to get work requirements that the courts will pass. The courts have just struck down the first one that they approved. Obviously, there's already in state law the fact that only citizens can get this. That's a federal law also associated with the program. And we would also incorporate that into the state legislation, the sideboard legislation that the legislature is going to pass. Or at least, let's put it this way, I hope to pass it. I'm going to sponsor the bill.
You know, Fred, that you answered my question in regards to the federal government backing out and or trying to implement ideas that would force and coerce Idaho to go along with. And you said the sideboards, as you put it, would be that we, the state of Idaho, would have control. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, you know, obviously both sides have to approve this plan. But that would be incorporated into our part of the plan, for sure. We already have a bunch of those sideboards already built into the plan.
You know, when it comes to the scares that people have about this, and I admit I had trepidations about Proposition 2, and I voiced those to you. You think that the controls that Idaho would have would basically suppress my fears as far as those people getting on the program that are able-bodied, able to work, but basically would be, in simple terminology, a leech to the system. You think we can control that?
I think so, because we're controlling it at this point in time. You know, Idaho, for instance, Idaho is recognized around the United States and by the federal government as having one of the very best and one of the most robust fraud detection schemes in the whole Medicaid program. We have a really, really good eligibility system that cross-checks, I don't know how many databases, etc. Idaho has shown that, unlike a bunch of states, we really have prevented a whole bunch of people from abusing that program in terms of Medicaid. I don't know that the same could be said for food stamps, but the state of Idaho doesn't. That's more of a federal program. For instance, we don't even appropriate the money for food stamps in Idaho. That just directly comes from the federal government and is directly deposited directly into those people's accounts.
Right.
They bypass the state of Idaho on that. But they don't do that on Medicaid. And I think Idaho, just like we have shown a lot of things, we're really good at making sure that hasn't happened.
Absolutely.
We've got a good historical record there.
We have one more caller, and I've only got a minute and 10 seconds left. Go ahead, caller, real fast, please.
Well, I have questions about this because I raised my family. We didn't have insurance. We didn't have government handout or whatever. And we had some medical bills. Yeah, I helped pay for a doctor's home over here. But, you know, I paid for it. I went to work, and I worked. And why can't everybody else? I mean, to me, this sounds like socialism, whether it comes from the federal government or the state of Idaho. It still sounds like a socialism program to me, and I'm not for it.
Let me have Fred respond quickly before I run out of time. Caller, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Fred, please, quickly.
Well, caller, thank you for calling in, and I can certainly understand your concern. And my job is not to convince you to vote for it or against it. My job is to try to lay out the facts that I can, and the voters make their decision here. This has been taken out of the hands of the legislature because enough citizens got together and said, we think that Idaho ought to do this, and so now it's up to the citizens to either vote yes or no. And my job and Zeb's job is to try to get as much information to everybody who wants the information so that when you go to the poll and in the secrecy of the ballot box, you get to determine what's going to happen here.
Well, Fred, I want to tell you how much I appreciate it. I know you're up in Spokane right now at meetings. I appreciate your time this morning. Representative Fred Wood talking about Propositions 1 and 2. We're going to have more programs in the very near future on both of these issues. Fred, thank you so much. God bless for being on the air. Thank you.
Zeb, thank you so much. God bless, and talk to you later.
Thank you, sir. And I know that a lot of you have questions. I have a lot of questions regarding some of the ins and outs and various questions about coverage and paying and taxpayer involvement. We're going to have a lot more on this in the next couple of weeks because I honestly feel you need to have a strong opinion one way or the other when you go to the polls in November. Right now, I've got a strong opinion that I better get it back over to the main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you much, and welcome back to our last half hour. I want to remind you there is going to be a top-notch, best-of-quality Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch production sale coming up on September 8th. Don't you miss it. Put it on your calendar. Zeb told you right now. It's going to be on September 8th, right around the corner. Preview at 10 a.m. in the morning, sale at 11, and it's going to be at 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. And I'm telling you, folks, because I know the family, I know these horses, they are top. You better believe it. Always breeding for conformation, disposition, and performance. These horses raised in the high desert country, they know how to handle themselves, and they've got great minds in conformation. Check it out. Be there. Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch production sale September 8th up at the ranch in Oakley. Call Jerry for more information at 670-3833. Right now, I'm going to call on the phone. Well, he's actually already there waiting for me, and we have an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation by the name of Mr. Timothy Snowball. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Zeb, I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for having me back. It's been too long.
Well, I appreciate your taking the time to come on my show this morning, and when I read about Chicago enforcing that food truck delivery trucks have to be supplied with tracking devices, I thought, who in the world wants to know where a Hostess cupcake is going?
Yeah. I mean, there's never. This is the first of its kind, rule in the country, right? And so I think that, particularly for me, and I think Pacific Legal Foundation, I mean, this is why we do the work that we do. You know what I mean? It's only a matter of time if we allow a rule like this to stand before, who knows, what comes next on the slippery slope, you know what I mean?
Well, what's going on with Rahm Emanuel in Chicago that he would go against basically the Fourth Amendment and demanding that they're basically tracked and followed? What are they afraid of?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So back in 2012, this GPS tracking rule was actually passed in conjunction with what they call a proximity ban. So when you look into food trucks, a lot of the issues that come up related to food trucks in major cities is you'll have brick and mortar restaurants that say, hey, we don't want to have to compete with these food trucks because the food trucks can move around and offer competitive prices and all this, and they wind up, in conjunction with the city trying to really prevent these food trucks from operating in certain neighborhoods. So Chicago passed a 200-foot proximity ban, which basically said, if you own a food truck, you cannot park that food truck and sell your product anywhere within 200 feet of a brick-and-mortar restaurant. And the effect of this, of course, is that large swaths of the city then are rendered not able to support these food trucks.
Right.
So in conjunction, as a way of enforcing this proximity ban, the city steps in and says, henceforth, as a condition of having a food truck license in the city, we're going to require everyone to affix a GPS tracker onto their trucks so that the city can keep track of exactly where you are, your truck is parked, at all times of the day, no matter what. And, it's like blatantly unconstitutional. Leave it to, Chicago to pass a rule like this, really, forcing the issue. And I mean, you have just as much right under the Fourth Amendment to protect private property as you do to protect privacy. And so it's really, and like I said, I mean, imagine the potential for something like this. I mean, you could go into the DMV or something down the road and they could say, oh, well, as a condition of having your driver's license, we're going to require you to put a GPS tracker onto your private vehicle. And, we're doing that for health or safety purposes, right? And you know what I mean? I think that more often than not, when the government is trying to violate individual rights, they cite to this amorphous kind of category of health and safety. Well, there's no health or safety exception to the Fourth Amendment written into the Bill of Rights that I can find.
Well, Timothy, let me ask you this. Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, but if the food vendor, has bought a license to sell goods and services within a city, and they've met all the requirements, if they are parked, let's say, 195 feet away from a McDonald's, what happens then? Are they going to be thrown in Lake Michigan? What are they going to do to them?
Right. I think the process is that there's an administrative process where they would then be cited, right? So now, yeah, exactly. You make a great point. Now you have an entire class of food truck bureaucrats who will be necessary, right? So you'll have a whole other department that will be necessary for them to be, watching these screens, keeping track of where food trucks are parked at any one time. I mean, especially the city of Chicago, they have major problems out there, Zeb. And I don't think that, that there being an excess of affordable good food trucks for, people to grab a quick lunch bite on their lunch break, it necessarily is one of the most pressing problems that the city has. I'll give you a little bit more background. It's kind of ironic. So these laws were originally enacted back in 2012. You actually had a case come down from the U.S. Supreme Court in the same year called Jones versus the United States, where the government had stepped in. They were investigating an individual, and they had actually placed a GPS tracker onto their vehicle. So almost the same exact factual scenario without a warrant as required by the Fourth Amendment. And the court came in, Justice Scalia, and said, look, you can't do this. You can't trespass upon real property, boundaries. That is a clear violation of the original intent of the Fourth Amendment. You can't do this. And so you would think, well, wow, with a case like that that's so on point, how could Chicago possibly think that this rule would fly? They do something kind of slippery, right? They say, well, in Jones, the government itself was the one who actually put the device onto the car. We're not actually putting the device onto the car. We're merely requiring that the device be placed on the car as a condition of having a license, see? And so it's really, from our perspective, especially as constitutional litigators, that's really a distinction without a difference.
Timothy, what it sounds like to me, and I'm just an old cowboy here in the state of Idaho, but it sounds like to me that corporate business, whether it be Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, or whether it's some chain of restaurants, whatever the case might be, they looked at these roving bands of food sales and says, we got to get them. And so they might have slipped a little money to the mayor's office and said, whatever you have to do to get these people as licensed vendors kind of curtailed, we'll help and we'll finance it. It sounds a little shady to me.
It definitely, it definitely is shady. And I think that, whether it's this particular situation in Chicago or any example that you can think of kind of straight up protectionism, I think that, one of the things that has always made the United States a unique country and really the torch of kind of liberty and opportunity for the world is, our system of entrepreneurial, free market capitalism, right? And competition, increased competition has never harmed anyone. The only effect that increased competition is going to have is better, products and services at competitive prices are going to be offered to the public. And, unfortunately, more often than not, you're absolutely correct. Entrenched, interests will step in and in collusion with government will, try to get these laws enacted on the books to make it impossible for new competitors, to come into the market. And I think especially with food trucks, Ev, if you do any kind of research on food trucks, you'll find a lot of food trucks are run by, veterans, by, members of minority groups or people from disadvantaged backgrounds. And these are people who are really trying to get a foothold, in the American dream. And the idea that the government would step in and purposefully try to prevent them from, improving their own lives and the lives of their family, I think it's not only legally egregious, it's really morally egregious.
Does this also go down the stepladder to, like, ice cream vendors that might go around the neighborhood with their little jingle bells letting the kids know that the ice cream sales are going to be on the corner in a moment? Would Baskin-Robbins also come against this?
I can't say for certain. I haven't heard anything like that, but I think that you make a great point, in that, like I said, there's never been a requirement like this in the country. This isn't Chicago stepping in after, Los Angeles or New York or, other municipalities have tried to do this. This is the first of its kind rule in the country where the government has stepped in and said, well, just based on this, like I said, the squishy kind of amorphous, ill-defined category of health and safety, we're going to require, tracking devices be put on these private vehicles, right? And it's really a creepy kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think even 10 or 15 years ago, when you watched a movie like Minority Report or one of these movies where the negative utopia in the future where the government was tracking individuals and had this level of control, just on its face, it's certainly far beyond anything that the founders could have possibly imagined. I sometimes think, in the work, that we do at Pacific Legal Foundation, that I wonder if I could sit down with, John Adams or Thomas Jefferson and tell them, some of the stuff that goes on in the modern day, as opposed to the Republic, that they risked all to found, how they would feel about it and what their reaction would be. And I can certainly guarantee you that if we're shocked, being modern people, in the modern day, they would very much be shocked as members of the founding generation.
Let me ask you this. I noticed on the information sheet that you sent me, on page number 2, topic number 2, it said, California legislature finally gets something right. I knew that had to be a misprint because lately California and doing things right has been an oxymoron.
Well, right. You can't use plastic straws anymore, and you can smoke all the pot that you want, but but you can't have basic entrepreneurial rights. So yeah, it is a nice development. So I'll talk a little bit about this. So California is one of 40 states that has what are called cottage food operation laws. Basically, cottage food operation laws allow limited sales food items. Usually non-perishable food items from private kitchens. So, if you're like me, I have an aunt who is, famous in the family for her preserves, right? Under California's current cottage food law, she could market those preserves, on a limited basis out to the public, make a little extra money, which I think is a great opportunity for people. But up until now, individuals like my aunt have not been able to market or sell perishable food items. So things like, if they have a chicken recipe or something like that, that would be more likely to, go bad over time. So believe it or not, my jaw was, on the floor for a little bit when I first heard about this thing, but under a law that's actually being considered, AB 626, California would be the first state in the nation to legalize and license all food sales,
wow.
All items, from home kitchens. And I think that I had to go down to a rally. I'm not here in Sacramento. I had to go down to a rally at the Capitol building and talk to some of the activists to really understand that it's clear, just like I described it to you. I couldn't believe it. Usually there's some kind of hidden trap door or something, but this is a law that I think is going to benefit, private entrepreneurs across the whole state. So believe me, I was as shocked as you are.
You know, when you look at the situations with food in this country and the availability of food, we live in the richest country anywhere in the world to process and have food produced for all the masses. It just seems like that topic one about Chicago with the GPS tracking rule, it seems so ridiculous. And it seems like not on my turf. I own this little area through my food licensing, and I'm not going to let anybody else in. But on the other side, over in California, letting Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred maybe have a little jelly business, it only makes common sense.
Yeah, and ultimately, you know, my hope would be that, you know, for better or worse, you know what I mean, California is a large state, and, you know, a lot of times with these, you know, at least on the crazy kind of, you know, liberal side of the policies, you know, like these idiotic straw bans. We have to do a whole other interview on that sometime. But, you know, really, a lot of times California will be the first state to pass a lot of these kind of cutting-edge laws, for better or worse. And then other states kind of, you know, smaller states will pick up on that and maybe pass versions of their own. So my hope would be that if this law winds up, you know, being signed into law by Governor Brown, that actually is a beneficial law. Other states will step in, as they have done, you know, with food trucks. You know, 10 or 15 years ago, food trucks were a relatively small industry, and you've really seen a need, I think, in the market that entrepreneurs, you know, have responded to. And my hope would be that if California puts this bill into effect, other states will pick up on that and really open the doors of opportunity, likewise for, you know, home kitchen entrepreneurs, you know, across the country.
You know, Tim, every time you're on this program, I really enjoy the way you lay things out for us. And tell us quickly about Pacific Legal Foundation so everybody understands what you do and why you do the things you do.
Sure. So Pacific Legal Foundation was founded in 1973 by former members of then Governor Reagan's gubernatorial staff. So we are the oldest, most active, and most successful public interest, conservative, libertarian, you know, law firm in the country's history. All we do all day long at Pacific Legal Foundation is try to find ways to vindicate and protect the Bill of Rights on behalf of our clients. So as a nonprofit, we don't charge anybody for anything. We represent our clients completely free of charge. And our only goal, you know, all day long, we work, you know, day and night, is trying to find ways to protect the Bill of Rights and really enforce, you know, the ideas of limited government and the rule of law, you know, that make us Americans, upon which the country was founded. So for me, it's a dream job. I encourage everyone to check out our website, pacificlegal.org. If you haven't been on there before, I think everyone will be, you know, pleasantly surprised with the progress we've made and the continuing fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Timothy Snowball, I appreciate it. Attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Please come back soon. Thank you so much for your time on the program this morning.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting, you know, about Chicago with all of its problems. And they have many, thanks to Rahm Emanuel as mayor and his henchmen. And then they want to put tracking rules and GPSs on food trucks. Oh, my goodness. And then California does something right? Why, those are earth-shattering stories this morning. As we go to the weather, and the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats. Oh my goodness sakes, Scarrows Meats, Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew. Delicious meats. Now, Labor Day is just hanging around the corner. I mean, it's just days away. And maybe you're going to have a big family gathering. Maybe you're going to have a big barbecue. Well, check out the marinated pork ribs for only $1.99 per pound. Or the barbecue packages, you know, for beef, pork, and chicken. Oh, you're gonna love it. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels a little bit like fall today, but it's not as smoky as what it has been, but we are still in that air quality advisory. Here's your weather forecast for the final week of August on Zebeth Ranch. We are expecting mostly sunny skies for today. It is going to be a little bit breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 65. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, still breezy, expecting a low of 43. Tomorrow, sunny skies, the winds are going to be dying down. Temperatures going to be bumping up to a high of 71 with an overnight low of 45. For Wednesday, sunny skies, getting back up to 80 degrees. Mostly clear for Wednesday night with a low of 52. By Thursday, mostly sunny, 82. Friday, sunny skies, high of 77, and looks like sunny and 80 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth Duran.
Oh, she does a great job on the weather, and I thank her. Gina, thank you. Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew. Delicious meats over at 331 North Road, Jerome. You can call them at 324-7657 or go to the website and check out all the delicious meats, scarrowsmeats.com. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Holy cow, I got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to say this until probably the day before the November election. Please go vote. This election, the midterms, in many respects could be the most important election that we've had in this country for a long, long time. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of problems that we need to address. And whether it's here in the state of Idaho with Prop 1 and Prop 2, or whether it's some of the people that are running against some of the incumbents, you need to be informed. And I urge you, I'm almost begging you to please study the issues and the people and go vote. I hope and pray that the day after the elections that we get on the air and say, holy cow, the turnout was well over, let's say, 52, 55%, whatever, maybe even higher. I certainly don't want to get on the air and say the turnout was a measly 20-some-odd%. You, as citizens, need to take hold and take charge and go to the polls and vote. Tomorrow on the program, what have we got going on tomorrow? I think we got some really good people that are scheduled to come on. Oh, one canceled. I was hoping she would be on the air, but we're going to have a replacement for Chili Farley, a young lady that was going to be on the program, and she has got an interesting story to tell. Stutz Equipment with the Ag Minutes. We're going to have John Horvat on the program at 10:30, and, of course, Dr. History will be here. All of that and more scheduled for tomorrow. I say more. I'm going to have to get on the phone immediately after the program and line up some other people for the ones that couldn't make it on tomorrow morning's program. Let's see, what else have we got? We got some public service announcements. I've got to get some of these in. I know that Modern Woodman of America and Jerry Voss and his great, great service to the community, they'll be having the Hometown Hero on Monday, September 10th at Doc's Pizza in Rupert. I wanted to be sure and get that out. And then a Minidoka County Senior Center. I got to get some of these public service announcements in. Minidoka County Senior Center, German sausage and sauerkraut dinner. Oh, does that sound good? It's going to be on September 15th at 6 p.m. Tickets are $10 each, and they will also have sausage for sale as long as it lasts. Whoa, buddy. And then my dear friend George Mass, he'll be coming on the air before too long to talk about this. Third annual Patriotic Car Show, standing for the red, white, and blue. It's going to be on Fremont Street in Rupert on September 8th from 10 to 4 p.m., and they're going to have all kinds of wild, good-looking bikes and boats and cars and a lot of entertainment, vendors, good food. And for more information, get a hold of my dear friend George Mass at 650-0104. And last but not least, the worship service. There will be no worship service at the Rupert United Methodist Church on Sunday, September 2nd, coming up this next weekend, but there will be a worship service at the Paul United Methodist Church at 9 a.m. So skip on over there and go to church. Right now, I want to remind you, too, about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. Still time for a road trip. Maybe you're going to leave and be gone over Labor Day. Well, they've got all the tires for your safe driving. Absolutely for your car, your pickup, your SUVs, all your trailers, and many of which are on sale right now at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't you miss out. And don't forget, too, they offer a free pre-trip safety check where they check the air in your tires, brake components, wheel alignment for tire wear, front-end components, shocks and struts and battery, including a load test. They want you to leave point A, go to point B, and turn around and come back to point A safely. Absolutely. Be sure and stop in and see the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. I thank you for all your calls and comments this morning, and we'll look forward to riding the horse again for tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet all over the world on ZebBell.com. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for just tuning in and giving us your thoughts, etc. We do appreciate it. I think without further ado, I'm going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studios, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Have a good day.